Have you ever felt the slow, agonizing fade of someone you love? Not a dramatic breakup, not a screaming match where doors slam and final words are thrown like glass. No, something much quieter, much more painful. It's the slow erosion of warmth. It's when their texts get shorter, when the emojis disappear, when they are sitting right next to you and on the couch, physically present, but their soul is checked out into a completely different dimension. You try to start a conversation, and you get that polite, hollow smile, the kind that tells you they are just tolerating your presence rather than enjoying it. If you are experiencing this right now, your chest probably feels tight. You might even feel a physical ache right around your heart, a sick kind of vertigo that makes you want to check your phone every 30 seconds, just to see if they've changed their mind. Today, we are going to talk about the brutal psychological reality of why people emotionally detach from us. More importantly, we are going to look at the exact behaviors you might be unknowingly doing right now that are pushing them further away, and what you must do immediately to reverse the dynamic. Because the bitter truth of human psychology is this: the harder you chase someone who is pulling away, the faster they run. But the moment you shift your energy back to yourself, the entire game changes. Let's talk about why this happens and how you can reclaim your dignity, your peace, and your power. Let's start with the very first mistake people make when they feel a relationship or a connection starting to slip. It's something psychologists call bad-mouthing yourself and your reality. When we feel insecure, our inner dialogue leaks out into our conversations. We start dropping subtle, or not so subtle, statements that paint us as a permanent loser. You might catch yourself saying things like, people these days are just disloyal, or everyone always leaves me in the end, or that's just how my life goes. I always lose. Psychologically, what are you doing to the other person when you say this? You are forcing them to look at you as a defeated person. You are framing yourself as someone who life beats up on a daily basis. And human beings on a subconscious evolutionary level are wired to seek out competence, strength, and stability. When you constantly position yourself as a victim or a loser, the other person's brain stops viewing you as an equal partner or a high-value companion. They begin to pity you, and romance, attraction, and deep emotional respect cannot survive in an environment built purely on pity. Then there is the second flavor of this poison: overt insecurity. You start apologizing for who you are. I know I'm not as successful as your friends. I know I'm too sensitive. I know my height, looks, or background aren't what you're used to, but you put them on a pedestal and crawl underneath their shoes, whispering, "What are we even? You're out of my league. I'm just lucky you're looking at me." Think about how that lands on the human ear. When you convince someone that you are inferior to them, you are giving them permission to treat you as inferior. You are handing them a pair of scissors and showing them exactly where to cut the emotional cord. Let me give you a real-life scenario. Imagine a man or a woman who starts dating someone they find intensely attractive. Instead of standing tall in their own unique identity, they begin shrinking. They text constantly, checking in. "Are you sure you still like me? Are you sure you aren't talking to someone better?" Within weeks, the partner, who initially respected and liked them, feels an overwhelming sense of suffocation. Why? Because you have outsourced your self-worth entirely to their validation. You must understand a fundamental law of human connection. You can never love someone into respecting you if you do not respect yourself first. The moment you stop apologizing for taking up space, the dynamic shifts. This brings us to the second massive reason people emotionally distance themselves: the total collapse of your personal routine. Let's look at what usually happens when we fall for someone. Our world shrinks until it contains only one person. Every single goal, hobby, gym session, business milestone, and personal ambition is quietly shoved into the backlog. You become entirely available. If they text at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, you reply within 2 seconds. Why? Because you didn't have anything better to do. You were just waiting. You were sitting in your room, refreshing your phone, letting your life rot away, like fruit left too long in the sun. And what happens next? Ironically, the moment you make yourself 100% available, your value drops to zero. Think about it from a psychological standpoint. We value things that are scarce, things that require effort to attain, things that have their own independent momentum. When your life is completely unstructured and bikri hui, scattered, the other person realizes they don't need to earn your attention. They already own it entirely. And human beings do not cherish what they do not have to fight to keep. Let's contrast this with a high-value, disciplined individual. Imagine a person who has a rigid, uncompromising routine. They wake up at 5 a.m. They hit the gym. They dive deep into their career or business objectives. Their phone is sitting on silent in their bag because they are actually building something of substance. When their partner texts them during their peak working hours, they don't reply instantly. Not because they are playing games or trying to be toxic, but because they are genuinely engaged in the pursuit of their own life's purpose. When that person finally responds, later in the evening, there is no desperation in their tone. They are grounded, calm, and fulfilled. Do you know what happens in the brain of the person on the receiving end of that lifestyle? A subtle, healthy shift occurs. Fear of loss. They realize, wait a minute, this person's life doesn't revolve around me. They have missions, goals, a body they take care of, and a mind that is sharp. If I don't step up, I might lose them. That realization is the ignition switch for genuine emotional attachment. So stop dropping your life for someone else. Stop sacrificing your business, your gym routine, or your peace of mind to sit by a screen. The moment you become your own primary focus, the person who was drifting away will suddenly remember how much they value you. Now let's address a darker, more destructive pattern that drives people away faster than anything else: coercive control and emotional threatening. When the anxiety of losing someone reaches a boiling point, many people cross a dangerous psychological line. Because you are terrified of the distance growing between you, you resort to emotional blackmail. It starts with subtle guilt tripping. If you really loved me, you wouldn't be so busy. Then it escalates into direct manipulation or threats. If you leave me, I don't know what I'll do to myself. Or threatening to ruin their reputation, or dragging up private conversations just to hold leverage over them. Let me be completely candid with you, because as your mentor, I owe you the absolute truth. You cannot force someone to love you through hostage-taking. When you threaten someone, or when every single conversation with you feels like an emotional minefield, where they are walking on eggshells waiting for you to explode, something critical breaks inside them. They might stay out of fear, guilt, or obligation, but the emotional warmth, the genuine desire to talk to you, it is completely dead. They are communicating with you out of self-preservation, not out of love. When you trap someone psychologically, their nervous system registers you as a threat rather than a safe haven. And what does the human body do when it encounters a threat? It flees. If you want someone to stay, you must make your presence feel like a safe harbor, not a prison sentence. The moment you strip away the drama, the ultimatums, and the emotional blackmail, you clear the air, you let them breathe. And ironically, when people are finally allowed to breathe freely around you, they often choose to stay right where they are. This brings us to one of the most powerful psychological frameworks in modern relationship dynamics: the emotional temperature shift. Let me explain how the human brain processes emotional consistency. Imagine you are eating sweets every single second of the day. Morning, noon, and night. Nothing but sugar. What happens to your taste buds? They go numb. Your tongue desensitizes. After a while, the sweetness doesn't even taste sweet anymore. It just tastes like a flat, boring routine. This is exactly what happens in relationships when you make yourself a 24/7 source of unconditional, unearned sweetness and constant chasing. You give them the exact same emotional temperature all day, every day. Total compliance, constant availability, and relentless validation. The other person's brain stops registering your value because the taste never changes. To fix this, you need to understand how to shift the temperature. According to psychological principles, when you are interacting with someone, you should be fully present. When you are talking to them, give them your 100% focused attention. Listen deeply, laugh, engage, and be entirely there, in the moment. But the second that conversation ends, you execute the shift. You switch entirely back to your work, your discipline, your goals, and your personal routine. You do not sit by the phone drowning in anticipation. You create an absence. Human beings are psychologically wired to value what they miss. When you maintain a balanced emotional temperature, warm and engaging when present, disciplined and independent when absent, the other person begins to feel the weight of your absence. They start missing your voice, your energy, and your undivided attention. And that is precisely when attraction is regenerated. Let's wrap this up with the core takeaway that you need to tattoo onto your mind. If you are exhausting yourself trying to fix someone who is ignoring you, if you are investing all your energy, your focus, and your self-respect into chasing a ghost, you are destroying the very person you should be protecting, yourself. Stop investing zero return energy into people who treat you like an option. Stop trying to repair a relationship by breaking your own soul in the process. The only person you have the power to fix, to mold, and to elevate in this life is you. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging for scraps of attention, when you rebuild your daily routine, master your discipline, and stand tall in your own authentic worth, everything shifts. The person who was ignoring you will notice the sudden drop in your energy. The dynamic will flip, and even if they don't come back, you will find something infinitely better. Your own unshakable self-respect. Thank you for watching. May God bless you with peace, protect your heart from unnecessary pain, and bring true happiness into your life. Take care of yourself, keep smiling, and I will see you in the next video.